Battle control initialized.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Red Alert Gaming League, Season 9, Minions, Round 1. In the lower left corner, playing as the British, we have ioverthougthins in green. And in the upper right corner, playing as Russia, we have Kernal Panic, playing as purple. Let's go to the production tab. Is that Russia or is that Ukraine? I always get them mixed up. I wish it would just say. Anyhoozle, we've got a Allies versus Soviets match. I always love to see an Allies versus Soviets match. Such different play styles. We got a dog coming out for Kernal Panic, aka Kernal Panic. Looks like he's going straight out with the engineer to his, well, those are equally far from each other's base, those oil refineries and oil derricks, excuse me. And looks like Kernal Panic is going to be able to capture the first one. He's also got a dog sitting up at the other one. Maybe not. I think he's just scoping out the field. Kernal Panic with the first kill. Just taking out a rifleman from ioverthougthins. And it looks like he's going to get another one. Kernal Panic, aka Kernal Panic, I'll just call him from now on, has both oil derricks secured. Got a little scouting action going on from ioverthougthins, scoping out the Kernal Panic's base, seeing that he's gone double ref. And he's split between the two ore patches. That's a great way to go, because you can always migrate if you're under attack at one of them. ioverthothins taking an aggressive position on the field. He's looking for that engineer, but I don't think he's going to find him. And the engineer gets back to base safe and sound. Home sweet home. Idle Harvester from ioverthothins. Let's take a look at the economy tab. Kernal Panic ahead by about $1,000, now $2,000 in income. That's really going to add up quick. Kernal Panic also ahead in actions per minute at 32 to 14. Kernal Panic putting out his second barracks. Looks like he's going to contest the center of the map, or at least feel out what's there. A whole bunch of riflemen. That's who's there. Kernal Panic moving for the upper left oil derrick. And out with the first ranger from ioverthothins. Kernal Panic still building ore trucks. ioverthothins is going to try to snipe that Engie. He's looking for him. And he's found him. Not a whole lot of action so far, but things are about to change. It looks like we have a sizable infantry force from Kernal Panic moving towards the left side of the map. He's going to completely bypass that infantry front. ioverthothins starting to break down the barbed wire that surrounds the tech center, the communications center rather. Five harvesters to 5 harvesters. 3 ore refineries to 3 ore refineries. And a conga line from both. Completely riflemen from ioverthothins. This flak truck is going to make absolute mincemeat out of Kernal Panic's arm... No, it's not. Kernal Panic just not able to get his flak truck out of the way quick enough. The engineer of I Ever Thought This taking a taxi cab ride down to the lower left oil derrick, and the MCV from I Ever Thought This just a little bit confused as to where he's going to go. Looks like he's going to go lower right. Massive infantry force developing from both players. I think Kernal Practice, aka Kernal Panic, has a bit of an advantage here. MCV out from Kernal Panic. And a tank out from I Ever Thought This. 2 tanks now. That's a good antidote to the flak truck. If you just space those around a little bit, runs past one, takes some damage, runs past the other, boom. Pop goes the weasel. The Ranger from I Ever Thought This looks like he's making a break for the upper left-hand derrick. But he's got a lot of infantry he's got to get through before he gets there. I don't think he has the hit points for this. Taking it back to base to be repaired. Both players out with their first expansion. However, Kernal Practice still leads the way with barracks. 6 barracks to 4. That is not a joke. I Ever Thought This going infantry first into the flame towers, and now those tanks are going to be faced with a whole bunch of rocket soldiers. He has got to split his army now. And he's going for a deep flank, leaving his main base wide open for Kernal Panic to come in with his infantry force. No tanks in that one. Well, no, there's one heavy tank in there. That's good. I Ever Thought This splitting his tanks and main infantry force. I don't know about that. Sounding the retreat. I Ever Thought This going for more eco. But he's floating 5.5k. He really should convert that eco into bullets. And we've got the makings of an eco raid going on here. That is going to definitely throw off Kernal's game plan. Only managing to take out 1 ore truck. And this offensive from Kernal Panic is really going to hurt I Ever Thought This. He's got nothing at his base. No towers, no defenses. There's 1 ore truck down. He's not going to focus fire on the ore truck. That's amazing. Oh, there he goes. There's 2 ore trucks down. I Ever Thought This in a great position to move in on Kernal's main, right onto the service depot. That is absolutely devastating as Soviets. I Ever Thought This, however, losing an MCV. If I had to bet, I would say this game is going to go to Kernal Panic. I Ever Thought This now at a power deficit. It's going to slow down his production big time. Kernal just making mincemeat out of I Ever Thought This' main base. I Ever Thought This' army is sitting idle at Kernal's expansion. I Ever Thought This is down to 1 ore patch. He's got 5 harvesters on it, and he just lost his only war factory. That is not good. I think this game is going to be over soon. That infantry force from Kernal was no joke. I Ever Thought This losing his tanks to rocket troopers in the upper right hand corner. Moving in and focusing on the power plant before he takes out that flame tower. Now we've got a conga line of riflemen coming out from ioverthougthins, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Kernal is answering with the same tactic, trying to hold off the troop offensive from either player. Kernal dealing effectively and saving his MCV. Now the MCV is on the move. He's going to reestablish his expansion. And we have a dedicated anti-infantry force here. We got an APC and a flak truck. They're really going to bring the pain to that infantry force, although I don't know what he's doing. Oh, we got the makings of a flamer drop here. It might be over before he does it, though. Kernal loading up the APC with flamers. I love to see that. ioverthougthins out with a war factory again, trying to hold on, but here comes the flamer drop. And that is absolutely devastating. There is no answer for this except to run, run, run. Now I think he's going to lose that APC. No, it gets away by the skin of its teeth, and so does the MCV. ioverthougthins reacting in time to get his MCV out of the way. Too bad he can't undeploy his war factory. That thing's going down. That is absolutely devastating at this stage of the game. ioverthothins calling it a good game at 11 minutes and 51 seconds, holding on for quite a while, and quite an even score too, 446 to 432. Let's take a look at the earnings graph. Kernal Panic with a early lead at 2 minutes, just converting, really focusing on his eco early on, and also capturing both oil derricks. You can see how he's just ahead and stays ahead. Let's check out the military graph. Kernal practiced with a slightly more advantageous position through minute 2 until minute 7. That's where it really counts. Big battle events and maintaining his forces over time. ioverthothins was floating quite a bit. He was floating about 5,500 at one point, and I think he really should have focused on building barracks and converting his cash into bullets. Let's go on to game number 2.
Battle control terminated. Battle control initialized.
Red Alert Gaming League Season 9 Minions Round 1. ioverthothins versus Kernal Panic. Game 2. Same selection of sides. I'm still confused. Is that Russia or is that Ukraine? I have to familiarize myself with these flags a little bit more. Let's go to the production tab. Kernal just ahead of the clock a little bit by about 1.5 seconds. He's going to have field control. It looks like he's lining up for a grenadier rush. He's going to take the long way around. ioverthothins once again going for the center of the field, but there's nothing to control on this map. Really, this map is all about center control, and ioverthothins has a good bead on these grenadiers. Looks like the last few are going to get taken out unless they run Bobby. There, he's lost one of them, and ioverthothins knows that something is up. I really wish he would cover those flanks. He is going to regret that in about 30-40 seconds. Looks like we have a dual grenadier rush. We got grenadiers coming in from either side. This is such an awesome map for flanks. There's the short way, there's the long way, and if he can converge these forces at the same time, too bad there aren't a couple of riflemen mixed in there. That would be a really awesome attack Now he's going straight for the MCV, which is way too armored to be taken out by grenadiers. He's going to get that power plant, though, I bet. Oh, and the last grenadier chucking it away. I ever thought this has got to go back to power plant production. And he's still got a grenadier there. That MCV is down to about 40% health. Construction yard. Excuse me. Same thing. Anyway. Got an infantry front coming out from Kernal Panic. Very cautious. Looks like he's going to spread them out. He knows he has the advantage now. He's going to be by far the first one to get a war factory out by about 21 seconds. That's enough time to crank out an APC before the enemy is even able to respond. Pretty quiet game between these two. A lot of times you see constant action, just aggression, but they're really feeling each other out. I don't know if this is, I think this is the first game between these two. Let me explain a little bit about the rules of the match. There are 18 players and minions. Everyone is going to play every other player at least twice. No, twice exactly. And in round 1 that we're in, each player plays 2 games. So however many rounds you need to have, you know, full interaction between all the players, that everyone plays 2 games against each other. That's how many games there are, I think. So there's quite a few rounds. I think there's either 4 rounds, something like that. Anyway, points are awarded 1 point per win. No points are deducted for loses. And right now, Sinjul and I forget who else are tied for the lead currently at 8 points. I've got to cast a few more games from them. Sinjul has played the most games, has 2 losses on record. We got an infantry force. Oh, that's a good crush from those ore trucks. My God. Taking out several rocket troopers and riflemen. That flame tower deployed, and that's it for that offensive. Kernal Panic ahead by 2 seconds on his service depot. Some good kiting action from ioverthougthins. He's scoping out the base and takes out a few riflemen with his ranger. Kernal Practice going straight for an MCV. He's about 11 seconds ahead on that. Let's go to the Eco tab. Kernal Practice ahead by 2 grand. And also ahead with 55.4 actions per minute to 27.1 actions per minute. ioverthougthins currently at a power deficit. No, he's not. Never mind. I read that wrong. Sorry. MCV coming out for Kernal Panic. Looks like ioverthothins' infantry force is a little distracted right now. Too bad he doesn't scope out that MCV with the ranger. 5 harvesters to 5 harvesters. ioverthothins idle with his MCV. And a very tight eco slide from Kernal Panic. He knows what's up, going straight for that gem patch. This is going to be a straight push through by Kernal Panic. He knows he has the advantage here with that tank in the lead, soaking up all that damage and just busting through the infantry line of I Ever Thought This. This is going to quickly turn into an attack on main, I bet. No, he's pulling his tank back, rotating his forces. What a pro. Moving out his main MCV. Kernal Practice has taken his main MCV to his second expansion. And that's a bad rally point from I Ever Thought This, just losing troop after troop after troop after troop. Say it ain't so. Kernal Panic taking out one harvester. Two harvesters. And here comes the attack on main. What's he gonna go for first? He could have taken out the war factory by now, but he hesitated, looking around for some juicier targets. I would have gone war factory. What's the point of having a service depot if you don't have a war factory? Honestly. And that is an idle harvester about to get taken down by the heavy tank. Tank's in the way, however. The harvester gets away. And we got a mine layer out from Kernal Practice. Laying mines on his flank, covering his flank. He knows he's not going to go that way. Finally, coming out with a third MCV. And this is going to hurt. He puts those mines right, almost in the right spot. Could have gone a bit deeper with them. I think he might lose this MCV, or at least the position of the MCV. Those mines taking out several troops in a tank. Good placement. That's what I call battle sense. You know you've got the top end of the field. Your enemy knows that too. He's going to try a flank across the bottom. Why not lay some mines? The one lone medium tank withering down the MCV. That flame tower is not going to be enough to take it out. And a big engagement in the center of the field. Tanks leading the charge, getting great crushes and trading very well, soaking up the damage of the enemy infantry. And he's going to bring that tank back for repairs. Infantry versus infantry engagement. And a pillbox deployment from I Ever Thought This. Great deployment of the pillbox. It might be just enough to hold them off. Both players floating about 6k at this point. Kernal Panic going radar tech. And he is going to lose that tank unless he moves it now. Too late. Kernal Panic out with his fourth expansion. Really just taking over the entire map at this point. And an infantry push in the upper corner is going to dislodge I Ever Thought This is first expansion. While a push on main is not going to get through, but he might dislodge that MCV. Harvester going down. I Ever Thought This is harvester going down. And he's lost all of his harvesters. That was a really great infantry flank up and around the long way. Let's go to the eco tab. I Ever Thought This quickly running out of money. He has got to build some harvesters immediately. He's trying to, but it's just not going to be enough. I Ever Thought This calling it good game at 11 minutes and 26 seconds. there's a guy who plays it to the end. I've seen a lot of players just give up after 7 or 8 minutes. 349 to 281. Let's go to the eco graph. Kernal Panic with a early advantage and maintaining that advantage. I'm not quite sure how he's able to do that. He must be microing his harvesters, which is a really great strategy. The army graph, slight advantage, slight disadvantage, and then just really takes off and maintains field control. Both games going to Kernal Panic. He's going to be one to watch. Red Alert Gaming League Season 9 Minions Round 1.
Battle control terminated.